My husband's secret daughter knocked on our door. Her story shocked us all. Before we begin the story, make sure to subscribe to our channel and never miss more incredible stories every day. If you'd asked me a week ago, I would have sworn I knew every secret my husband ever carried. After 17 years of marriage, you start to believe in a certain kind of safety, a rhythm, a routine, a quiet certainty about the life you've built. But everything changed the moment I opened our door and found a stranger standing on the porch, shivering in the dusk, her hands clenched wide around a battered duffel bag. "My name is Ava," she said, voice trembling. I think I'm your husband's daughter." Those words hung in the air, thick and poisonous. I could barely breathe. My mind flipped through 1,000 memories. Late-night phone calls my husband always took outside, odd charges on our bank account, the envelope of old photographs I once found and was told were nothing, just old friends. But nothing had prepared me for this. A girl, barely 19, with our family's eyes and my husband's jawline, begging for a place to belong. My husband, Tom, came into the hallway, his face draining of color as he saw her. "Ava," his voice broke. "How did you find us?" I watched them, two halves of a secret suddenly forced into daylight. I was angry. No, I was incandescent. But I was also numb, my mind racing with questions I didn't know how to ask. Ava's story came out in ragged bursts. Her mother had passed away. She'd found a letter among her mother's things, naming Tom as her father. She'd spent months searching, piecing together fragments, following digital breadcrumbs until she landed on our doorstep. "I didn't know where else to go," she whispered. We stood frozen in the entryway. Me, my husband, his secret daughter, while our two children watched from the stairs, wide-eyed and silent. I thought that was the worst of it. I thought the shock would break us. But later, as I lay awake, I heard Tom arguing in hushed, frantic tones on the phone. And I saw Ava, hunched over her bag, clutching something she wouldn't let anyone see. That was the night I realized. This was only the beginning. Ava's secret wasn't just about Tom. Her story would tear our whole family apart. The next morning, sunlight did nothing to lift the weight in our house. Breakfast was a silent ritual, Tom pretending to read the news, the kids eyeing Ava as if she might vanish, and Ava picking at toast like she was afraid of taking up space. I moved through the kitchen in autopilot, pretending everything was normal, though I could barely hold my hands steady. After Tom left for work, I sat across from Ava, searching her face for pieces of my husband. She wouldn't meet my eyes. "You don't have to be afraid here," I said, unsure if it was true. She nodded but clutched her bag tighter, her knuckles white. "I wanted to ask 1,000 questions. Why didn't you come sooner? What was your mother like? Why did Tom never tell me?" But all that came out was, "How long do you plan on staying?" Her lips trembled. I don't know. I have nowhere else." A wave of guilt crashed over me. Whatever secrets Tom kept, Ava was just a kid left alone in the world. I tried to offer comfort, but her walls were high. I caught her glancing at our family photos on the wall, birthdays, vacations, happy moments frozen in time. I wondered if she resented us or envied what she'd never had. When Tom came home that evening, the tension was suffocating. He barely looked at me, but I cornered him in our room. "Why didn't you tell me?" I hissed. He ran a hand through his hair. "I didn't know. Not for sure. Her mother never reached out. I thought it was over." "Tom, she's your daughter. She's our responsibility now. But if there's more, if you're hiding something, I need to know. All of it." He looked stricken, eyes shining. "I swear, I'm telling you everything now." But later that night, I found Ava whispering urgently into her phone outside. When she caught me watching, she jumped and hid the phone behind her back. "Sorry. Old habit," she muttered, but I saw the flicker of fear in her eyes. There were more secrets in our house than ever, and one of them was about to explode. Days passed, each one stretching thinner than the last. Tom tried to act as if life was normal, but tension buzzed under every word. Ava kept mostly to herself, eyes darting to her phone or the window whenever she thought no one was looking. Our kids, confused and wary, tiptoed around her as if she might shatter. One afternoon, while tidying up the living room, I noticed Ava's duffel bag had split open, spilling some contents onto the carpet. She was upstairs showering. I knew I shouldn't, but curiosity and dread won out. I knelt and found, among clothes and a well-worn book, a battered envelope addressed in an unfamiliar hand. To Ava, if you ever need the truth. My hands shook as I stared at it. I hesitated, then slipped it back just as Ava's footsteps thundered down the stairs. She looked at me, suspicious, then at her bag. It fell open, I said quickly. I was just cleaning. She nodded, pulling the bag protectively to her chest. Thanks. That night, after everyone else had gone to bed, I saw her curled up on the porch swing, the envelope open in her lap, tears streaking her face. I watched through the window, heart aching with a guilt I couldn't name. Was it for intruding, or for not knowing about her pain sooner? The next morning, Ava was quiet, haunted. At breakfast, she slid a piece of paper across the table to Tom. Read this, please. Her voice was thin, almost pleading. Tom unfolded it, eyes darting across the page. I saw his jaw tighten, his hand tremble. What is it? I pressed, fear curling in my gut. He looked at me, eyes rimmed red. It's from her mother. She wrote it before she died. He passed the letter to me, and I read the shaky script. If you're reading this, it means I'm gone. Ava, I'm sorry. There are things I never told you. Things I was afraid of. Tom, if you ever meet your daughter, promise you'll tell her everything. The truth matters, even when it hurts. Ava's eyes met mine, pleading. What truth? She whispered. But Tom's hands were already shaking, his face ashen. I knew, in that moment, our family was balanced on the edge of a secret that could destroy us all. Tom barely slept that night. I heard him pacing the hallway, then sitting in Ava's room, their voices low and heavy with things unsaid. By morning, he looked like a man dragged behind a train, haunted, hollow-eyed. I poured him coffee and waited, hoping he'd finally give me the answers I deserved. He slid into the chair across from me, cradling his mug like a shield. Her mother, Claire, I loved her once, he said, the words scraping out. It was years before we met. She disappeared from my life without a word. I never knew she was pregnant. Ava joined us, clutching the letter. Why did Mom keep me from you? Tom shook his head, eyes glistening. I don't know. I wish I did. My mind spun with memories. An old photo I'd once found of Tom and a woman I didn't recognize, his tense reaction when I'd asked about his wild college days. How much of our marriage had been built on silence? Ava's fingers shook as she pointed to a line in the letter. She said I'd find the rest with you. That you'd know what to do. What does that mean? Tom's face paled. He glanced at me, as if begging for help, but I just stared back, numb, angry, determined. What else, Tom? He swallowed. Claire was scared. She said people from her past were watching her. She wouldn't tell me what she meant. I thought she was being paranoid. Ava looked like she might break. I think someone's been following me, too. Since before Mom died. A chill ran through me. Did you see anyone? Did something happen? She nodded. A man. He keeps showing up, at my job, near the bus stop. He knows my name. The walls of our home felt suddenly paper thin. My anger at Tom twisted into something sharper, fear. For Ava, for our children, for all of us. Tom reached for my hand, desperate. I swear, I'll protect her. I'll protect all of you. But as the doorbell rang, loud, insistent, my heart dropped. Someone else had found us, and I knew nothing would ever be the same. I moved to the door, pulse hammering, Tom a step behind me, and Ava frozen in the hallway. Through the peephole, I saw a man, mid-40s, sharp suit, eyes cold as stone. He looked nothing like a social worker or a lost relative. I hesitated, but the man rang again, 3 deliberate times. Tom stepped up, trying to sound firm. Who are you? What do you want? The man's smile was thin. Mr. Walker? My name is Daniel Reyes. I represent certain interests from Claire's past. I believe your family owes us an explanation. May I come in? Every instinct screamed to keep him outside, but Tom, caught between fear and the need for answers, opened the door a crack. Say what you have to say. My wife and daughter are here. Daniel glanced at Ava, gaze lingering a beat too long. Miss, my condolences for your mother. She was involved in some complex situations. We need to discuss what she left behind. Ava's eyes widened, knuckles white on her bag. My mother didn't leave anything except debt. Daniel's smile vanished. Not exactly. Claire left information. She said she'd keep it safe, that it would come to light if anything happened to her. We want what she was protecting. He turned to Tom. And we know she trusted you. I felt the room shrink around us. Tom's jaw set. I don't know what you're talking about. Daniel reached into his coat. For a split second, I thought he might pull a weapon, but instead he produced a photograph. A young Claire with a different man, faces tense, wary, a slip of paper visible in her hand. She was clever. But if the information surfaces, it's dangerous for all of us. Especially your family. Ava stood, trembling but defiant. We don't have anything. Please leave us alone. Daniel's eyes hardened. You'll be in touch when you find it. For your own sake, I suggest you hurry. He left, shutting the door with a quiet finality that felt more threatening than any shout. Ava slumped into a chair, tears streaming. What did Mom get us into? Tom wrapped his arms around her, but the question echoed between us all. I glanced at the letter again, searching for clues, while a single thought chilled me to my core. We weren't just uncovering secrets. We were being hunted for them. That night, the house was on edge. We triple-checked the locks and kept the lights low, every creak and shadow setting my nerves on fire. Tom paced, staring out windows, phone clutched in his hand. Ava curled up on the sofa, clutching the battered duffel bag and the letter, her face hollow with fear and exhaustion. Our kids tiptoed through the halls, whispering questions we couldn't answer. When everyone finally drifted to uneasy sleep, I sat at the kitchen table, staring at Claire's letter. You'll find the rest with you. Tom will know what to do. The words nagged at me. What had Claire trusted Tom with? What could she have left behind? I crept into the garage, searching boxes Tom never let me touch. Dusty tools, old college yearbooks, junk, nothing. But then, at the bottom of a battered toolbox, I found a velvet pouch. Inside was a small brass key, taped to a faded note in Claire's handwriting. For Ava. When she's ready. My heart hammered. I rushed inside and woke Tom and Ava. Under the kitchen lights, Ava held the key, running her thumb over its smooth edges. She must have left something in storage, Tom whispered. Claire had a locker, years ago, said it was for emergencies. Ava's hands shook. We have to see what's there. Tonight. I can't wait anymore. We bundled into the car, the streets eerily empty. The storage facility was quiet, fluorescent lights flickering. We found Claire's unit, number 117. Ava unlocked it, hands trembling. The door rolled up, revealing boxes, old suitcases, and a single metal safe. Ava used the key, and with a trembling breath, opened the safe. Inside were files, envelopes stuffed with cash, and a phone, ancient but intact. There was also a USB drive, labeled simply, Insurance. Tom rifled through the files, his face blanching as he recognized names, documents, old bank records, evidence that could ruin more than just our family. Ava stared at the phone. Someone's still calling it, she whispered, showing the missed calls. Just then, headlights swept over the row of units. A car pulled in, engine idling, lights off. We froze, every instinct screaming. We were out of time. The past wasn't just haunting us. It had found us. Tom pressed a finger to his lips, eyes wild, as we killed the flashlight and crouched behind boxes. The storage unit door was still halfway open. From the shadows, we watched as the car idled. Then the driver's door opened and heavy footsteps echoed on the concrete. Ava clutched the USB and the old phone to her chest, her breath shaky in the dark. I squeezed her shoulder. My mind raced. What if they saw us? What if this was Daniel Reyes, or someone even worse? The footsteps drew closer. We could just make out a tall figure in the blue glow of security lights, scanning each row. Tom checked the safe, making sure we'd grabbed everything important. Stay down, he mouthed. The footsteps paused right outside our unit. For one terrifying heartbeat, the figure peered in, then moved on. I didn't dare move, barely dared breathe. Finally, we heard the car door slam and the engine roar off into the night. We waited another 5 minutes before daring to stand. Ava's face was streaked with tears. I can't do this, she whispered. Why won't they just leave us alone? Tom hugged her tight. We're going to fix this. I promise. Back home, we barricaded the doors. I plugged in the USB, heart hammering. The files loaded. Bank statements, emails, photos of men in suits exchanging envelopes. Even a recorded call, Claire's voice trembling as she demanded money for her silence. This is blackmail material, Tom breathed. She was protecting herself, and you, Ava. Ava listened to the recording, her face draining of color. She said if anything happened to her, everything would go public. She wanted to keep me safe. We realized, with dawning dread, why Daniel Reyes was so desperate to find the information. It could bring down powerful people, maybe even get us killed if we weren't careful. The phone vibrated in Ava's hands. A blocked number, calling again and again. I grabbed Tom's hand. We have to go to the police. No more hiding. No more secrets. Ava nodded, fear turning to resolve. We do it together. But as we reached for the door, the phone lit up with a single text. If you want your family to live, hand over the drive. Last warning. The fight for the truth, and for our lives, had truly begun. We stood in the hallway, paralyzed by the glowing phone screen. The message felt like a noose. If you want your family to live, hand over the drive. Last warning. Ava's hands shook so hard I had to steady her. Tom's face hardened, fear and anger battling for control. We're not giving in, he said quietly, but I heard the tremor in his voice. We can't trust anyone, I whispered. Not after what happened at the storage unit. But hiding wasn't working either. Every minute we kept the drive, the danger grew. I called the police, my voice barely more than a whisper, desperate for help. The operator sounded calm, but her assurance felt paper-thin. Stay inside. Officers are on their way. Don't open the door for anyone but uniformed police. We huddled in the living room, curtains drawn, clutching the drive like it was both our salvation and a curse. Ava sat between us, hollow-eyed, flinching at every sound. Our kids, sensing the tension, stayed silent and close, their usual laughter smothered by anxiety. The phone buzzed again. Another text, this one colder. Tick-tock. You have 1 hour. Tom swore under his breath. They're not bluffing. Claire must have known how serious this was. I scanned the files on the USB, searching for leverage or clues. One email stood out, a name I recognized, a local politician, high profile, mentioned in connection with payoffs and threats. There were dozens of others, corporate executives, lawyers, even police officers. My blood ran cold. How far did this go? The sirens in the distance sent a jolt of hope through me. Blue and red lights flashed across the windows as 2 police officers approached, badges displayed. Relief washed over us, until Ava's phone buzzed once more. A picture appeared on the screen. Our house, taken from outside. A new message. Cops can't save you. Ava burst into tears, terror giving way to panic. Tom wrapped his arms around us both. I held the drive tighter, heart pounding with the certainty that the only way out was through. The front door rattled. One of the officers, calling our names. But trust had become the most dangerous game of all, and the hour was almost up. For a moment, I couldn't breathe. Ava buried her face in my shoulder as Tom peered through the peephole, eyes darting between the police on our porch and the text showing our own house. Proof that someone was watching. Too close. Too real. Do we let them in? Tom whispered. My mind raced. If the threats were real, even the police might not be safe. But waiting was just as dangerous. I took a chance, called the station from my cell, and quietly verified the badge numbers. Relief mixed with terror when the dispatcher confirmed. These were legitimate officers. I let them in, trembling as I bolted the door behind them. Inside, the officers listened to our story, faces growing more grave with every detail. We showed them the texts, the USB, the recording of Claire's blackmail. One officer called for backup, requesting an unmarked car to watch our house. The other stayed close, reassuring us, but unable to hide her own worry. Ava, drained, pressed the drive into my hand. Maybe it's not worth it, she choked. Maybe we should give them what they want. Tom shook his head, jaw clenched. If we do, it never ends. We'll always be running. Your mom wanted this truth to come out for a reason. But the threats kept coming. Another photo. Our kids' school, playground empty in the dusk. A new message. This is your last chance. Drop the drive at the old marina. Come alone. The officers set up a perimeter, but the fear was suffocating. If I went, I risked walking into a trap. If I stayed, I risked my family. I stared at the drive, heart torn. Ava's eyes pleaded for safety. Tom's, for justice. My own heart, for peace. As midnight approached, the marina's shadowy waterline called to me like a dare. And I realized, with a cold certainty, if I wanted to save my family, I had to face the past head-on. I slipped the USB into my pocket and stepped into the night, not knowing if I'd ever come back. The marina was silent, except for the lapping of dark water and the creak of old boats against their moorings. I kept to the shadows, my breath fogging in the chill air. My phone vibrated. An unknown number. Doc 7. Now. Alone. Spotlights from distant warehouses cut pale beams through the night, making every shadow seem alive. I clutched the USB in my fist, feeling its sharp edges press into my palm. A sliver of hope, or a death sentence. As I approached Doc 7, a figure stepped out from behind a stack of crates. Daniel Reyes. His suit was immaculate, but his eyes looked hunted. "You're braver than I thought," he said, voice low. "Do you have it?" I nodded, barely daring to look away from his hands. "I want your word. Leave my family alone. We'll disappear. You'll never hear from us again." Daniel gave a humorless laugh. "That's not how this works. But if you're smart, you'll walk away after this. Some secrets aren't worth dying for." He held out his hand, but before I could move, another figure appeared. A police officer, gun drawn. "Drop it, both of you." Daniel cursed and spun, reaching inside his jacket. I froze, heart hammering as the dock erupted into chaos. More officers poured from the shadows. Daniel tried to run, but was tackled hard onto the wet planks, yelling threats and promises I couldn't understand. An officer hustled me back, their hand firm on my shoulder. "You did the right thing. We were tracking your phone the whole time." The marina was staked out. I wanted to collapse from relief, but fear still coiled in my gut. "Is it over?" I asked. "Not yet," the officer said grimly. "But you've given us everything we need." Back home, Tom and Ava were waiting. Ava ran to me, sobbing, relief flooding her face. The police gathered the evidence, locking it away as Ava finally let herself cry in my arms. I thought we'd reached the end of the nightmare. But as dawn broke, my phone buzzed one last time. A new message, this time from an unknown woman. "We need to talk. There's more you don't know about Claire and about Ava." The past, it seemed, was not finished with us yet. Sleep was impossible. The message haunted me. "There's more you don't know about Claire and about Ava." I reread it a dozen times, heart pounding with dread and curiosity. Tom sat beside me on the bed, his arm around Ava, both of them looking as wrung out as I felt. I replied, hands shaking. "Who are you? What do you want?" A moment later, a reply. "Meet me at the Willow Motel, room 12. Come alone. This isn't a threat. I can help you. Don't bring the police, or you'll never get the truth." Tom protested when I told him. "We've risked enough. What if it's a trap?" But Ava's eyes were full of haunted hope. What if it's someone who really knew my mom? What if there's something we missed? Against every instinct, I went. The Willow Motel was run down and half empty, rain slashing at the neon sign. Room 12's door opened before I could knock. A woman in her late 40s stood inside, face lined with worry, hair tied back, sharp eyes that flicked over me like an X-ray. "My name's Linda," she said quietly. "I was Claire's friend. I promised I'd watch over Ava if anything happened." She handed me a battered folder. Claire trusted very few people. She was hiding from more than just men like Daniel. She was running from her own family, dangerous people with real power. "There are things about Ava you need to know, things Claire never put in writing." She slid a birth certificate across the table. "Look closer." Ava's birth wasn't just kept from Tom. It was kept from the rest of Claire's world, too. That's why she was in so much danger. I scanned the papers, realization hitting me like a truck. There were sealed adoption forms, letters from people begging Claire to give Ava up for her own safety. The tangled history spilled out. Claire's family was connected to everything. The money, the blackmail, even Daniel. Linda's voice was gentle but fierce. "If you want to keep Ava safe, you have to sever all ties to the past. Get her a new identity. Disappear. Don't let her out of your sight." I left the motel, folder gripped tight, my mind spinning. For the first time, I saw the truth. We weren't just running from Claire's secrets. We were running from a legacy of danger that had claimed too many lives already. The drive home was a blur of headlights and rain. Linda's warning echoed in my mind. Get her a new identity. Disappear. My hands shook as I gripped the folder. Proof that Ava's roots ran deeper and more dangerous than we'd ever guessed. Back at the house, Tom met me at the door, worry etched in every line of his face. Ava hovered behind him, eyes wide and searching. "What did you find out?" Tom asked. I laid the folder on the table and pulled out the birth certificate, the adoption forms, the desperate letters. I explained everything Linda had said about Claire's family, the threats, the possibility that Ava's very existence put her in the crosshairs of powerful people. Ava slumped into a chair, face pale. "I don't want to run anymore," she whispered. "I just want a normal life." Tom wrapped his arms around her, voice thick. "We'll do whatever it takes to keep you safe, even if it means leaving everything behind." We spent the night researching names, old news clippings, the web of connections spiraling out from Claire's family tree. It was all there: embezzlement, cover-ups, even hints of violence swept under the rug. The deeper we dug, the more obvious it became. Ava would never be safe if she stayed the girl she was. By morning, we made the decision. With the police's help, we started the process to change Ava's name, her records, everything. It felt surreal: packing bags, wiping phones, deleting social media. The life we'd built, all the routines and routes, had to be abandoned overnight. Ava cried as she boxed up her childhood keepsakes. I hugged her, heartbreaking. "We're not losing you," I whispered. "We're giving you a future." As we drove away from the house for the last time, I watched our home fade in the rearview mirror. My family's faces were drawn, but resolute. Even as fear nipped at my heels, hope flickered inside me. We might never outrun the past entirely, but for the first time, we had a chance to write our own ending. And as the city lights disappeared behind us, I silently promised no one would take Ava from us again. Not now. Not ever. The days that followed were a blur. Waiting rooms, paperwork, new names whispered in safe offices. The government's witness protection team was all business, but even they seemed rattled by how deep Claire's family's reach extended. Ava barely spoke, staring out windows, twisting her new ID card between her fingers. We were given a new town, a rented house at the edge of a quiet neighborhood. The air smelled different. The local grocery store felt like another planet. Every morning, Ava woke from nightmares, haunted by a world that no longer had her name in it. Tom and I tried to create normalcy. We painted her new bedroom together, baked cookies, let the kids pick out movies for movie night. But underneath it all, fear hummed like a low current. I caught Tom triple-checking the locks at night, flinching at every unknown car that passed. One afternoon, as we unpacked boxes in Ava's room, she finally broke the silence. "Do you think I'll ever feel real again?" I knelt beside her. "I don't know, but I promise, we'll do this together. We'll build something new." Ava hesitated, then pulled something from her pocket, the old phone from Claire's safe. "Should I get rid of it?" she whispered. Tom took it gently. "Only if you want to. But you're not running from who you are anymore. You're running toward who you'll become." Slowly, Ava nodded. She powered off the phone and, with trembling hands, placed it in the back of her closet, a relic from another life. That night, we gathered for dinner around the battered old table the government had provided. For the first time, Ava laughed at a joke one of the kids told, the sound uncertain but bright. I realized this was how healing began, not with forgetting, but with hope flickering into something solid. Still, as I watched her, I wondered, would the world ever truly let her go? Or would some shadow from the past always threaten to find us? But I saw the strength in Ava's eyes, the will to survive, to fight, to live. And I knew, no matter how hard the past chased us, we wouldn't face it alone. The weeks passed, each day carrying us a little farther from the lives we'd left behind. Ava began school under her new name, blending in with the other kids, carefully practicing her smile. Tom found work at a nearby hardware store, introducing himself as a new man. I volunteered at the library, eager to anchor us to this quiet place. Yet every knock at the door, every unknown number on my phone, still sent my heart into my throat. Despite the distance, the past crept in through small cracks. Once, I caught Ava staring at the old phone, hands trembling but not turning it on. Another night, Tom received a letter with no return address. Inside, a single newspaper clipping about Claire's family, with a scrawled warning, "You can't erase blood." We took the letter to the authorities, who only grew more vigilant, but couldn't promise absolute safety. "This may fade," the agent said, "but people with power have long memories. Stay careful." Ava struggled most with the silence. She missed her mother, even the twisted pieces of truth she'd inherited. One evening, she found me in the kitchen and quietly asked, "Do you think she was ever truly free?" I thought of Claire, how fiercely she'd tried to protect Ava, how much she'd sacrifice to give her daughter even a chance at a new life. I squeezed Ava's hand. She was free. In the moments she chose hope. That's what we have to do, over and over, no matter what comes. With each day, small signs of healing appeared. Ava joining a club at school, Tom planting flowers in the yard, our kids drawing silly cartoons on the fridge. It wasn't easy, and the shadows would never fully disappear, but life began to stretch forward instead of looping endlessly back. Still, I knew we might never be completely safe. The legacy Claire left behind would echo for years, maybe for a lifetime. But as I watched Ava smile at dinner, surrounded by the family that refused to let her go, I finally allowed myself to believe. Whatever the future held, we were strong enough to meet it. Together. Spring arrived quietly in our new town, the air fresh with possibility. The kids chased each other through the budding garden while Tom painted the porch, and for the first time in months, laughter didn't sound like something borrowed from another life. Ava began to blossom, too. She joined the school's theater group, found a friend who didn't know her past, and even dared to dream about college applications, using her new name, her new future. One Saturday morning, we planted a tree in the backyard, a family ritual we'd started years before, but this time it felt different. Each of us took a turn shoveling dirt over the roots, hands muddy, faces lifted to the sun. Ava pressed a note into the earth before we covered it. "I forgive you, Mom. I'm growing now." Afterward, we sat together, watching the branches sway in the gentle wind. Tom put his arm around me, and I felt, truly felt, that we were moving forward, not just running. The memories of what we'd lost would always be with us, but so would the promise of what we were building. That evening, Ava sat beside me on the porch steps, eyes reflecting the last gold rays of sunlight. "Do you think this is really over?" she asked, voice fragile but hopeful. I took her hand and squeezed it. "Nothing's ever really over, Ava. But we're safe now, and as long as we have each other, we'll find a way." She nodded, a slow, genuine smile spreading across her face. For the first time, she looked at home in her own skin. As the stars blinked to life above us, I closed my eyes and breathed deeply, letting hope fill the places fear had hollowed out for so long. Tomorrow, there would be new challenges, old memories, and maybe even the ghosts of secrets past. But tonight, under this wide and forgiving sky, we were a family, together, brave, and free to begin again. Ava rested her head on my shoulder, and for a precious, quiet moment, the world felt healed.